How's it going, guys? Today I want to talk about some of the things that surprised me most about doing business in the Philippines. So often you guys will reach out to me and ask me about how to start a business in the Philippines. And one of the things that I always let you know is that it's so important not to take your expectations of how a business works in your own culture here to the Philippines. There's some things where even if it's exactly the same type of business, will look so much different here in the Philippines. And much of that has to do because of cultural differences. So one of the things that's different here to begin with is business structures. In the US and so many other countries, if you want to start a business, normally you just decide, do I want to own it by myself? Do I want to have a partner? Or do I want more of a corporate structure? And it's very straightforward. In the Philippines, though, there's so many different types of business structures that are only available to Filipinos. Those tend to be the business structures that are the most easy to start, kind of like a sole proprietorship or similar type of business in the US. Here in the Philippines, up until 2019, it wasn't even possible for a foreigner to be able to 100% own a business. Before, they were only able to own a business up to 40%, and then Filipino citizens had to own the other 60%. So Purple Cow here in Cebu, where I live, was the first, from what we understand, or certainly one of the first businesses that started what's called a one-person corporation, or an OPC. And this type of business structure allows foreigners to 100% own a business on their own. But it takes quite a while to start one of these businesses. Normally, I would expect the paperwork to take about 4 to 6 months. So if you're interested in starting an OPC, I have some past videos about that, or feel free to reach out to me to discuss more deeply. The second thing that is quite a bit different here is work culture. The types of things that worked really well for me as a CEO in the US that used to really build our team tended to backfire here. There was the ability to have things be kind of a lot more loose and free in how I would work in the US, where I found that in the Philippines, things have really needed to be a lot more black and white, a lot more structured. Even things like being able to work remotely from home would work pretty well in the US, but here in the Philippines, I found, at least for my businesses, that just didn't quite work out so well, and so we tend to really focus on working out of the office only. In the Philippines, there's also a lot of other things that you've probably never heard of. For example, if you're a business owner looking for payroll, you can't just look at a normal January to December type of work year. There's something here called the 13th month. What is that? 13th month in the Philippines means that in the month of December, you pay employees double. So instead of having to finish up the pay year with just one salary for everybody, everybody gets to be paid twice as much. Normally, people are paid by about December 15th, and it's really a great time for Filipinos here that are looking for Christmas and starting the new year to have a bit of extra cash in their pockets. But as a business owner, it's really important that you plan ahead for those things. So what we do with our companies here is that each month we will save up 1/12 of that extra month, and so by the time December comes along, we're not paying twice the payroll. We're just kind of finishing up that final amount that we've been saving up for all year. Speaking of Christmas and the end of the year, holidays is another huge difference here in the Philippines. Some months it feels like there are more holidays than there are work days, and that's a bit of an exaggeration, but compared to what I'm used to in the US, there's definitely a lot of extra holidays over here, and you really got to plan to get ahead so you don't fall behind on things with the sheer amount of holidays there are in some months in the Philippines. And finally, one of the other things that really surprised me here in the Philippines and that shows so much about how close Filipinos are with their family and how much they really prioritize family, is that work does not come first in the Philippines. Family comes first in the Philippines. So if there is a major deadline at work, and at the same time, if somebody's grandpa or mother or someone else in their family is sick, the deadline might get put on hold, and employees might put that family member, often will put that family member, ahead of whatever is going on at work, because no matter how important something at work is, family is normally going to take the precedent for most Filipinos living here. So these are just a few of the things that surprised me over here in the Philippines. As I've said so often, I'm so happy to be living over here, and overall, there is just nowhere else I'd rather live. But some of these type of things might take you unaware, and so it's good if you're thinking about starting a business in the Philippines to realize that it's gonna take time to really get to know the culture and really get a deep understanding of how things are different here. Even if you have a lot of business experience, a lot of what you don't know will be the things that are a challenge to make it through in your initial years in business here. If I can help, I'm always just an email away, and always happy to support entrepreneurs that are looking to start a business in the Philippines. As always, guys, thank you for taking the time to watch, and take care.